Okay, time to talk about Summoner. I'm not sure if it would be popular. I believe summons should be armor based instead of weapons based. I believe the weapons should actually be able to buff the summons, but not completely replace them. So I have a couple examples here. I post this on the Voxlblade, obviously, so you can read this on your own computer if you want. But yeah, perk amount would not dictate base summon strength or scaling. You would need 3 of a perk to get the summon, or 3 of 2 different perks to get 2 summons. And once you were able to get the summon with the full set equipped, then the perks would have an effect. But it wouldn't dictate the base summon strength or scaling, it would only give it an effect. This is an extra on when I said perks should be gimmicky, because this is perfectly fun. I mean, you do this and you get all kinds of stuff, but it's not specifically just a buff, so it's nice. Lich King, yeah, so for Lich King, we give it Corrupted Toadzerker with like half base HP, but give it way less decay. So the decay is like gone at the 3 pieces, it's gone. So the base decay would be like 3% HP, I guess, for a Toadzerker, but with the 3 perks just to get it to spawn, it's gone. But if you infuse 3, then it gets a regen, so a health regen. So if you would have all 6 without cursed, well, cursed would have a half effective effect. So if you have cursed, it's only going to be half as effective with summoner perks, which is obvious because it's blatantly overpowered. But yeah, so 0.05% per second regen per percentage over 100. So 6 perks would be 0% decay with a 5.2% regen per second. HP scaling could be nerfed to give half the HP per summon boost, so it wouldn't be a massive tank, obviously. Queen Bee armor. Boss armor should be way more complicated because boss armor should be rarer and stronger and more fun to use. I think I have, where do I have it? Anyways, I said somewhere that it should be 4 times rarer than it is now, because boss armors for summoning, like Queen Bee armor, is way too common, especially if it's going to be this strong. But yeah, Queen Bee armor would not have a resummon delay. So if your summons die, they wouldn't just instantly resummon. No, instead, you get 4 different summons: bees, drones, giant bees, and giant drones. Giant versions are much rarer, but their decay is doubled. And instead of spawning on an interval and giving you a slow, yeah, I think when the summons spawn on the interval ending, they should give you like a 5-second slow, so that instead, like with the weapon arts, you get stuck in one place, but I think instead of that, they should just slow you down when you resummon. So then you would have like a 5-second slow, but so it'd still be hard to just run away and then have your summon solo everything, you know, that would be better. So yeah, let's see. So yeah, bee, giant bee, drone, giant drone. Every time the player is healed, it would have a 2-second delay, so you can just spam heal and get a giant army, obviously. 2 seconds is a little short, but I think it's fair, seeing as the actual healing weapon art that I would give the Queen Bee weapon is going to be, you know, quite longer than that. So healed with a proc coefficient, so it needs to have a proc coefficient to work. The delay is 2 seconds. Now, I would say the base HP would have to be 150% with regular scaling, because bees die super easily. I mean, they're bees and drones. I mean, if you're doing ice caverns, they would just get wiped out instantly. And I think 50% damage, but with double summon boost scaling. So it would start off weak, because obviously an early game Queen Bee build would absolutely destroy everything. I mean, it would just spawn constantly, and it would be, you know, impossible to even do anything about it. So it would do half damage. It would be a safe build, but it would be a decent build, basically. So 50% damage, but with a double summon boost. So end game with max upgrades and tons of summon boost, your bees would be able to effectively kill the ice cavern bosses with as much health as they have, because they're really tanky. The max for summons would increase 3 per perk, so you would need to infuse all of them to get the max value, and each summon would have a different decay rate. So the regular bees would be 5 and the giant would be 10, so 10 per second's really fast though, so I don't know, that might have to be changed. But I mean, giant, I mean, I think if you can summon one every 2 seconds, or if you're using the weapon art every 4, I think that 10% decay would probably be pretty decent. I mean, especially for the giant ones, because the giant ones would be a lot stronger. But the stronger summons should replace the weaker ones. So if you summon a giant bee or a giant drone, it should replace the weaker ones. So at least if you're like fighting a boss, then it automatically replaces to kill it faster. And then Boss Man. Boss Man is pretty decent as it is, but it's not perfect. I think the 2 summon max per perk with a 10% decay, so 10 seconds and they die, but every 3 seconds you get 2, so it's balanced. It's supposed to be you save it up and then you use it, so the fact that it's a longer resummon than they live for, I think that's good, because a 3-second with 2, so if you're summoning 20, it would be 30 seconds, so they would die before you could resummon them. So it's like you keep them like stored and then you throw them out. 10% decay is a lot, but I think for this specific boss man armor it would be decent. And the status potency 1 is 2 spoiling, so 2 at a time. Spoiling should not increase in size per perk, because I don't see why having 6 boss man makes them gigantic. That doesn't even make sense. And they should have a really high damage modifier, but with a really low HP modifier. So 150% base damage modifier with a 50% summon boost scaling. Because I mean, obviously if you just throw them all out and you have a ton of summon boosts, they'll just like one-shot everything with their poison stacking. So I think they should have higher base damage for early game and less scaling for late game, so they don't just insta-kill everything. And a 50% HP modifier, because they're kind of like bombs. Like they're not the bee guys, the big exploding bees, but they are kind of similar to the bombs. So I would say that would be pretty good to have a 50% HP modifier with regular scaling. But yeah, 50%. Well, I'm pretty sure the 50% summon boost for damage would be like 75%, because it's 150 instead of 100. So half of that would be 75. So it's still gonna have pretty decent summon boost scaling, but it's just gonna have more base damage for earlier game. And yeah, for the weapon arts, I think they need to be completely replaced. I don't see why the summons for early game is so stupid. I mean, a undead bunny and an undead wolf, and they do like no damage, and they have like barely any health, and their cooldown is massive, and their decay is just blatantly annoying for how stupidly weak they are. I mean, yeah. And then this too would be vastly cooler, because you'd have different perks that kind of do like a base boost, and then you'd have the weapon arts for like a big boost. So the second a boss spawns, you can like boom, big boost, and then everything that does way more damage. So like Hex would have life steal, so you could survivability essentially. You could do like the corrupted Toadzerker with less decay and health regen, and then you could have him heal and you heal, and then I mean, of course it would suck if it was like ice caverns with true damage. He'd probably die anyways, but he might survive long enough to be useful though. So you could do the dungeon, it would just take a while, but I think that lifesteal for you and your summons would help a lot with, dungeons where you constantly take damage, like ice caverns where it's cold or whatever. Damage boost based on missing HP, you could do that instead. So if the daily wasn't cold, it was just something else, you could do damage boost, so when he's half dead he does more damage, kind of like the blood bumble armor or whatever. So yeah. And then holy, heal per hit taken and summon. Let's see, I kind of forgot. Oh yeah, so with holy, you would heal per hit taken and summon that dies. And these are all of these abilities are status effects, so they have up times and cooldowns and strengths. So the perks would be separate. Whatever perks they would have would be separate. They would probably be kind of weak though, because you have such strong abilities. But yeah, heal per hit taken and summon died player only. So you would be able to heal when you took a hit, and if a summon dies. So this is just like a, it's like the hex, but you don't actually have to hit stuff. It's more defensive. So in later dungeons it might be worse, but in earlier dungeons it might, well, that'd probably be opposite because it's easier to hit stuff in earlier dungeons. So this might be better for like the ice caverns, where if you get hit you get healed, and then your summons die more often, so you get healed as well. But yeah, it'd have a certain uptime. You'd probably have to have the high elf or the scholar, but scholar has a 50% effectiveness as well. They both do. So even with high elf and scholar, it's going to be half as effective. So you might get 100% uptime, or you might not. Just depends how strong it is. Like this is a 75, but a 50% damage resistance for your summons. I mean, I would say it'd probably be both for the player and the summons, because it's only damage resistance, not the actual damage, and it's only a 50% uptime, so you might not be able to get 100% if you have high elf and scholar, which also gives cursed a use as well, because it's only 50%, but it's 50% for both, so you could do scholar or cursed. And queen bee, yeah, this one would be used with the queen bee armor. So you get both parts have to be upgraded to tier 4 to get it. It's a special weapon art, and the status heals you once every 4 seconds. So you'd get like half of the available, because the delay is 2, but you heal once every 4. But I think it's balanced because the regular bees only have a decay of 5 per second, so this would probably not be that bad. But yeah, heal once every 4 seconds. This would also be good as well, because you heal constantly, so you're not always worried about dying. So this is very good for healing, survivability, and with the armor it works very well. And I would say maybe like, I don't know, I mean, maybe the delay could be increased, but it summons like more at a time. That could also be, because I don't know, I mean, I think 1 every heal is pretty decent, and then every 4 seconds with 75% uptime, I think that's pretty good. I mean, especially if you have high elf, that'd probably be like almost full uptime, so you'd be summoning stuff constantly. That's also why I made the decay so long as well. But yeah, this would be player only. Obviously you can't have your summons mass healing. That would kind of destroy the point of having such high decay and such high spawn rate, because it's bees, it's swarm. Well, swarm would be different, but this still bees, you want a lot of them. So, but yeah, that's pretty much it. That's it.